Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Debbie Deno with Path to Heal, and I'm bringing you another exciting webinar with my friend and mentor, Dr. Jeff Wulfman. Hello, Dr. Jeff.
Hello, Dr. Debbie. Good to see
S-
you.
So before he takes it away, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend, and you'll be able to see why we have him on today. So Dr. Jeff Wulfman, MD, he's a family physician who's practiced root cause functional medicine for 30 years. He works with thousands of clients with chronic, complex illnesses, and he's on the forefront of innovative diagnostic and treatment, which has led him to explore the role of frequency-based wellness solutions and to help people thrive. And that's why we have you on today, because we're going to talk about some trends we see in health and some disturbing trends that we're seeing and some solutions that you found to not only help people heal, but to thrive. So, Dr. Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie, and hello, everyone. Um, so as you said, like you and I both in our own, unique ways, but with some crossover, worked with oftentimes very challenging client situations, what we sort of lump into complex chronic illness. People where there's no nice, easy diagnosis or one thing. It's usually multiple factors and a long history, but also people that just want to have a higher level of vitality. But what I found over time, I know you have too, is that it's not gotten easier. It's actually gotten harder.
Mhm.
Harder over time because I think there are more and more
Mhm.
challenges on multiple levels, challenges to the physical body as well as the mental, emotional, and spiritual body. But and so how that has shown up over time is that things that used to work quickly and
Mhm.
well don't work as quickly and not as well. It takes more inputs to
Mhm.
actually get people to start moving. Uh, Often there are plateaus where some improve and then just flat
Mhm.
lines and like, oh, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. And just
Mhm.
doesn't shift. Relapses or flares, people getting better, then they get worse, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And so, regardless of what the names and labels and all that we may put on these kinds of situations, I think that pretty much everybody would love to have more energy and vitality and have a sense like
Absolutely.
I'm not operating at 100%. And, that's true. You're not. And I'm not either. But I'm getting closer, I think. I hope.
You
So
are.
as you mentioned, in my journey of trying to figure out how to help people, because after my training was done, I was like, I don't have much to really help people. And this is very disappointing. There's got to be more. And so I
Mhm.
started, like you, expanding and learning different modalities. But part of that is going into the root cause. Like, okay, it's interesting. Here are these symptoms, and you'd like to do this, but what's underneath? What's actually
Yes.
potentially causing that? And that's super important, right? And then addressing those things and hopefully help. But what I found over time is that, yes, that's important. And yes, you can create some really meaningful change. But that seemed like there's just something missing and connected to what I said, where they just don't heal as robustly and plateau and relapse.
Mhm.
And I'm doing all the beautiful nutrients and the herbs and the supplements and this and the body work and all that. Why is this not continuing to go? That's led me to discovering frequency-based wellness supports, because what I realized over time is that part of the issue is not that there weren't adequate building blocks present or that the structure wasn't, adjusted to be optimal, but there wasn't the root support from an energetic standpoint to actually power the self-healing response to all
Mhm.
those other great things. So one simple analogy, you want to build a house. You've got all the materials piled up here, all the stuff, the people, everything, and you have to use power tools to construct this, right?
Mhm.
And the batteries are at 5%. And you're like, brr. well, I know what to do. I know how this goes together. I have blueprints. I know how to create this house, but the tools
Mm,
don't have the power to actually construct it and put it together and hold it together and maintain
mhm.
it. So the body's not a building, and I'm not saying that. It's much more complex, but on a very basic level, you've got to have the underlying molecular charge and energy. And to me, it's like that is a missing piece for
Right.
people to thrive and heal and respond to all these other therapies, because they're not anymore. Tons of people are walking around with $1,000 bags of supplements and they still feel
Mhm,
horrible.
mhm.
So that's not the issue. And so that led me to the Kloud technology.
Great. So let's tell us more because I like where we're going so far.
Yeah. Well, I, like you, been to a lot of conferences, go to the vendor halls,
Mhm,
see, the stuff, and there's great things out there. And I've been aware of PEMF, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic
mhm,
field devices. I've been aware that that technology has been around for over 50 years. There's tons of research on it. But the research is all over the place. The different devices were like all over the place, and what the frequency they used and the intensity and this and that, and the studies were very different one from the other. And I knew it did things, but it was not sophisticated enough for me. The outcomes were not consistent and impressive enough for me until the Kloud was developed. So there's basically been no meaningful advances in the technology for 25 years
mhm,
until now. And the Kloud truly is a quantum leap in the pulsed electromagnetic field space. And so much so that it's kind of has its own name, PEMA, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic activation, because
mhm.
that's truly where it shines, and what makes it unique is the magnitude of molecular activation that it brings because of how it's designed and what it is.
Okay.
Probably want me to expand on that.
I do. I do. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm ready to learn
Yeah,
more.
cool. So most all of the existing PMF devices in the world are either have one frequency, like one piano key, or a small range, like, okay, three piano keys in terms of its frequency range. So,
Mhm,
and that does stuff, but it often requires a lot of time, a lot of force, and the proportion that it actually, leads to meaningful change was not satisfying to me. So the way
mhm,
the Kloud is different. So if you think it's like most devices are like two or three piano keys,
mhm,
the Kloud is a 30-piece orchestra.
mm,
So it's the first and only ultra broadband signal. So from a basic standpoint, you lay on this thing, you start it, and through 600 feet or 60 feet of copper coil, a pulsed electromagnetic field is running through your body. And so it's energy transfer. It's transferring from this pulsed electromagnetic field into your molecules. So another analogy, you have one of these things, a cell phone.
mhm, mhm,
It can't do work without a charged battery. You lay it on the wireless charger. The
mhm.
wireless charger sends a pulsed field through the battery. There's no direct wire connection.
Right.
And it elevates the charge of the electrons, and now the phone can do work.
Mhm,
So it's, in a very basic sense, it's transferring energy to your body
mhm,
directly, not through biochemistry, not through the
mm.
proper minerals and the mitochondrial, nutrients, et cetera, et cetera. That's biochemistry. Before that is biophysics. So this is actually directly charging the body.
Mm.
So every molecule vibrates at a certain frequency. So if you're only hitting two piano keys, you're only hitting the ones that are in this range. If you
Mhm.
have this huge spectrum that you're vibrating, then you have a much, much broader effect.
Great.
And I want to share a little, visual that can really help with this.
Yes, thank you.
Let's see, there we go. So this little quotation from Tesla.
Mhm.
Secrets of the universe, energy, frequency, and vibration. And actually, Einstein said future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. So these guys knew because that's the basis of what we're energetic. We're energetic beings.
Mhm.
So this is just, you know, a visual lying on the cloud mat. This field is passed through the body. The battery is charged.
Right.
And this is just a visual showing why is the cloud different. And this is a graph showing this is basically the range of frequency that the cloud signal covers
Mm.
versus older. This is like 1970s, 1998, 2009. These are other products,
Mhm.
and this is the cloud.
Great.
And then this is what I spoke of. So all the way on the right side, what we want is improved quality of life. In
Mhm.
order to have that, you have to have a self-healing capacity and resilience to handle all the stuff.
Mhm.
That requires, you know, physiology and then biochemistry going backwards. This is where supplements, diet, nutrition, medications, etc.,
Mhm.
feed into here. But in order for biochemistry to work, you have to have molecular activation. And this is where the cloud comes in. So it's actually like the first domino. And it provides the energy, and the body decides what to do, which is the other thing I like,
Mhm.
Dr. Debbie, is it's not forcing the body to do anything. It's actually providing, like if you have charged power tools, it's not forcing those
Mhm.
power tools to do a
Mhm.
certain thing.
Mhm.
The body then decides, okay, I've got the energy. What I need to do
Mhm.
now is detox the liver and do this and get rid of this. What I need
Right.
to do now is use this energy for my immune system to clear out microbes. What I need to do is to repair this connective tissue.
Yes. And that was one of the things when we first spoke about this that struck me so much because the body's needs change. And this is something that adapts and like you said, gives the body what it needs when it needs it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
which
tell
I
us more.
love because it's you know, people say, well, does it help for this like specific thing? Well, how does it work on that? Like you don't have to, it doesn't matter to some degree what the
Hmm.
quote diagnosis is and what the
Hmm.
symptoms are,
Hmm.
because the body is constantly trying to repair and restore and go back to its most vital state.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and it it needs the energy to do so. So you
Hmm.
give it the energy and it will run from there. And
Hmm.
also like, well, can I stop doing whatever? Does this replace it? Like it will magnify and multiply your ability to respond to all the other stuff you're doing. So like myself and you know, I
Hmm.
create like a very focused, complex, you know, supplement-based regimen to help support whatever's
Hmm.
going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. But now you give it the gas and the
Hmm.
body can take it and go like twice as fast. And that's why I see
Hmm.
clinically, like what
Right.
used to take 6 months. Like I know you, I'm sure you know, like, okay, yeah, this is going to probably take about 6 months for this
Hmm.
person to really start
Right.
getting change. Drops it down to 3 months.
Oh, that's amazing.
People who, like I've had some people who I've done everything I know what to do. They've gone and seen other people, all the
Hmm.
Lyme people, the mold, the this, the that, the, you know,
Hmm.
whatever. And they've plateaued.
Hmm.
And then they don't change anything else on their current
Hmm.
regimen. They bring in the cloud, and all of a sudden, they start going again because the issue was not the wrong supplement regimen. It was
Right.
the energy that precedes that.
Love that.
Yeah, and so um, here's why the cloud is different to a visual in that. Let me show this. So all the way on the left is narrowband
Hmm.
PEMF. This is what typical quote PEMF.
Hmm.
Very simple sawtooth, very narrow range. And the little dots are basically representation of the number of molecules that it stimulates.
Mm.
And then in 98 was the first like advance, so the first like broadband it was a big advance. And so it had a higher number of molecules. And then you close this 25-year development gap. Dr.
Mm.
Kafka developed this. He's the world's expert in PMF technology. This is the PIMA signal. It's a
Mm.
superposition. So it's actually two that overlap.
Mm.
So there's coils on both sides, and
Right.
they're offset by a couple, like a millisecond. So they actually overlap and create like
Mm.
harmonics and so forth.
Like a binaural beat almost.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
cool.
and also it keeps the bot, which I love. And I just learned, I was at the headquarters in Liechtenstein a couple
Hmm.
months ago, and I met Dr. Kafka, and a piece that he, you know, that came out was by overlapping it a little bit, it's always different because the body will
Mm,
normalize to about anything, right? So if you keep hearing the same song over and over, eventually you stop hearing it, right?
right.
Or this, if you get into a smell, it's like at first it's like, oh wow, then after a while you don't even smell it anymore. Or
Hmm.
like I do, therapeutic fatigue.
Hmm.
Wow, this worked great initially, and now it's like
Yeah.
stop. Body. So anyway, this is a super complex signal, so it also prevents
Mm.
that like therapeutic fatigue. So
Mm.
he did the calculations. So the other most complex device will give 450,000 impulses in a 15-minute session. The
Mm.
Kloud mat
Mm.
will give you 23 million impulses in a
That's great.
15-minute session. Therefore, you get that much more molecular stimulation.
Mm.
And then when I heard about this, I'm like, well, that sounds great, but how do I know this signal is good for the body? Like,
Yeah.
how's the body respond? So before I had the experience with people, here's this. I want to just show this real quick. This is a study that they did using human connective tissue
Hmm.
cells.
I love this video.
Yeah. So what these cells are supposed to do, you can see they're separated.
Hmm.
And when they let them go, they're supposed to close that space. And basically, like
Yes.
if you had a torn muscle or something,
Hmm.
or a cut in the skin, they're supposed to do
Hmm.
that. It's a healing model.
Yes.
So the one on the bottom, they gave it one Kloud session, 15
Hmm.
minutes, just sat it on that mat. The
Hmm.
other one they did not. And then they followed it for 24 hours. This is time lapse and said, okay,
Yeah.
do these cells do anything different? They got the same vitamins, the same nutrients, same temperature, all that. And so here, just show this real quick. So the ones on the bottom got the one Kloud session. So you can see they have the capacity to
Hmm.
do what they're supposed to do, which is
Yes.
multiply and close that gap twice as fast.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I get it.
Hmm.
I want every cell in my body to be doing that.
Hmm.
And because I know from all the stuff I know about all the challenges, I know you know this too, Dr. Debbie,
Hmm.
the toxins, the electrosmog,
Hmm.
the microbes, all the stuff, we
All the
have to
stuff.
be able to self-repair
Hmm.
vigorously
Hmm.
every day.
Every day.
And I want this going every day. And then
Hmm.
people who are struggling with compromised states, they need even more because
Yes.
they have to regenerate and repair, not
Yes.
just not just maintain.
And their bodies don't have the energy to do that. That's why their wound healing or whatever is so slow.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
takes me forever to get over this, or this won't
Hmm.
heal, or all that. And so, uh, if you take this picture of these cells and and
Hmm.
expand that out into a person, what happens is just what I said. It
Hmm.
happens twice. They heal twice as fast. Like this is happening twice as fast. Basically, these cells are coming together twice
Beautiful.
as fast. So I
Beautiful.
just wanted to share those couple things, and then this, um, it's just a picture of the mats. There's a maxi and a mini, and they fold
Hmm.
up nicely.
Hmm.
The other thing I wanted to share about what is different about it is the main thing is the signal, that
Hmm.
50x molecular activation. That's why it is truly revolutionary. But the other thing is it's super convenient. 15 minutes,
Hmm.
push the button, start it, you lay on it 15
Yeah.
minutes twice a day. So it gets used. A lot of
Hmm.
people have stuff in their house that just takes too long, it's too complicated, and they end up not
Right.
using it. It's wireless, battery powered, super
Hmm.
easy to use, doesn't take much time, so it actually gets utilized.
Yes.
They just did a big study in University of Vienna, and like 85% of people used it on a regular basis without
Mm.
anybody telling them to do so.
Right.
And people love it.
Hmm.
I've had people say it's like my security blanket. I just feel better when I
Hmm.
use it. So that is a good piece. And then the other is it's that you saw how it can fold all the way into it.
Yes.
And so that magnifies the power. So like if you have the mini, also you can place that on a focal area like a knee
Hmm.
or an ankle. I have an ankle issue. I'll put the mini folded up over my ankle. It's twice the juice because you've got coils and coils and coils. So you can
Yes.
get creative with it that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, speaking of which, you've given us just a couple of examples. Can we talk a little bit about? Okay, I think we get the idea that it's molecular activation. So it works for everybody. Uh, Well, before we move on to the how you use it, let's talk about safety because we always hear this with patients. Both of us, like we talked, I work a lot with kids, moms, pregnant and breastfeeding women. I always get asked, is this safe?
Mhm.
Is
Yes.
it
So,
safe?
so basically, there are virtually no known side
Hmm.
effects. There are two caveats that the company puts out,
Hmm.
which pretty much they
Hmm.
all need to do, is pacemaker in pregnancy.
Right. Absolutely.
And
And
that's,
it's,
they just have to say that.
they
So,
have to say that.
and the other
Hmm.
thing is just this year, the Kloud was cleared as an FDA class 1 medical product,
Great.
which is a safety,
Hmm.
class.
Yes.
So that has that little, stamp on there.
Yes. We use this with every age, every age. Um,
Agreed. Yeah.
so love that. Can we talk a little bit about how you use it?
Yes.
And maybe, granted, it works for molecular activation, but there's some uniqueness too about how you can apply that different programs. So let's talk about that a bit.
Yes. Okay. So this would be switching to the programs part.
Yes.
Yeah. So the programs, the Kloud has 5 different programs. So in terms of its adjustability, it's not just like one thing. There are
Hmm.
5 different programs, and on each of those, you can adjust the intensity level 1 through 5. So like the program is the song, the intensity is the volume. So those are
Hmm.
the adjustments that it has. I will say the other important mechanism, in addition to the molecular activation, is um, nervous system balancing and entrainment.
Yes, I love that part.
So you've got this diffuse activation of the molecules for that self-healing. The other piece is it brings the nervous system into balance. So
Hmm.
most people have heard of like the sympathetic, parasympathetic,
Hmm.
sympathetic, wound up, fight, flight, all that stuff. And
Yes.
parasympathetic is, rest, digest, repair, heal.
Hmm.
Uh, and for a healing response to be able to go forward, you need to be in at least part of the time in that parasympathetic
Right.
balance.
Right.
And a lot of people with chronic complex illnesses, they
Hmm.
can't meditate their way out of it. Their nervous
No.
system is just bzzz.
Yes.
That is not a healing state.
Right.
And I had the most incredible thing happen recently. I went, chronic illness uh, person who was doing a demo
Hmm.
has severe autonomic imbalance. And she just kind of told me some of this. Gave her a 15-minute session. I put her on program 2, and I'll explain why
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Balance.
Hmm.
And I come back in, and she gets up, and her eyes are like this, and she's like, and she's holding, she goes, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I just sweat all over your mat."
Yes.
And she's like, "I can't believe this. I have not sweat for years."
Oh, wow.
And in one session, she
Hmm.
started sweating. Now, people who
Oh.
don't know that may be like, "Well, what does that mean?" Well, your nervous system has to be in balance
Hmm.
for you to be able to sweat.
Hmm.
So some people who cannot sweat, that's not a good thing. It
No.
just means they're out of balance. So I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "Yeah, I've been sweat for years. This is unbelievable." And so
Wow.
she got one for herself to support her healing journey. And she's like, "I sweat
Yes.
all the time. It's so great." And I'm like, "Yes, you're sweating. This is awesome."
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is actually one session. That's incredible.
Yeah, I was blown away. And so that's the other aspect is bringing the nervous system into. That is not a medical claim. I'm just saying this
No,
person told me
I
this. Okay.
personally have experienced that, and it's one of my favorite ways to use the cloud.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a disclaimer, of course, which,
mhm,
we would put for none of this is medical diagnosis. We're not, this is not to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any illness.
mhm,
This is just a wellness and fitness, input. So, the programs. There are, and I talked to Dr. Kafka about this, the creator, and so there are 5 different programs, each with a different song. So you would want a different song for different purposes, right? Something
mhm,
very upbeat to get you dancing and energized, versus
mhm,
a smoothing symphony to
mhm.
your system responds differently to that, right? Now all 5 create molecular activation. They all
Yes.
do, but it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, people start figuring out like what they like the most and what they need. Like
Mm-hmm.
now I pretty much know, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do program 4, or
Mm-hmm.
I need program 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of depleted. So now program 1 is relaxer. So it is very helpful if you're wound up, kind of
Mm-hmm.
cranked up and want to come down into a relaxed state, particularly like right before bed, if you're really like
Yes.
wound up and you can't calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an a la carte for that purpose. Number 2 is the most gentle
Mm-hmm.
one, called balance. And it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like electrical acupuncture. Brings the meridians into alignment,
Mm-hmm.
parasympathetic, sympathetic, dominant, very gentle,
Mm-hmm.
very easy. So super sensitive people
Mm-hmm.
often suggest they do that, or people in their nervous system is just very dysregulated. It very
Mm-hmm.
much is helpful to regulate the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And again, within that, like a super sensitive person, I would say start program 2, intensity
Yes.
level 1,
Yes.
see how you respond. We can
Yes.
increase the intensity level if we need,
Mm-hmm.
but just start there.
Yes.
So program 3 is energize.
Mm-hmm.
So it over the 15 minutes, they're all 15 minutes. Over the 15 minutes, it starts low and works its way up over time. But here's a piece, everybody's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Program 3 makes me want to take a nap. I don't know, it just
Mm.
does. So other people, it's like, I'm ready to go. So
Yeah.
trust yourself. Your body responds differently.
Right.
And I use that one a la carte also, the program 3. Program 4 is synchronize, which is very um, mind body connecting,
Mm-hmm.
grounding.
Mm-hmm.
People say they feel coherent. They'll kind of get up and feel sort of
Yes.
straight and like, yeah, that I just
Yes.
grounded and good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one. So if someone's sensitive, I'll start them on 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want you just like to do 2 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
start low intensity, work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then program 5 is transform. And that's the one used in that cell study. They
Yes.
actually, in the study, I think they tried program 3 and program 5, and 5 was more
Mm-hmm.
activating.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that with clients as and myself. It's the deepest tissue
Yes.
penetration, most molecular activation.
Mm-hmm.
So people who tend to have like Herxheimer reactions and those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things, you
Mm-hmm.
want to like go slow and gentle. So I might start just do it like program 5 twice a week
Mm-hmm.
on intensity 1.
Mm-hmm.
See how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like a super sensitive person I have, they can only use it about 3 times a week on program 5.
Mm-hmm.
Others who are like
Mm-hmm.
just going for it, program 5, intensity level 5 every morning, and
Yeah.
then do like a 4 or 2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I have a client with, all the inflammatory things, and one of her
Mm-hmm.
flare symptoms is bad headache.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I can't do when I have that flare, I can't do 5. It's too much for
Mm-hmm.
my system. But what I've
Mm-hmm.
found is when I have the headache flare, I do program 2, intensity level
Mm-hmm.
about 2, and my headache just calms right down.
That's great.
So people start figuring out like what works best for them. And that's it's not a one size fits all, and you've got a lot of options there.
Right.
And some people feel immediate effects.
Mm-hmm.
Some don't. Obviously, we're working on the buildup and progression over time. So with
Mm-hmm.
continued use, the dominoes really start going. So there's that too. Sometimes there's immediate effect, but most of the
Mm-hmm.
time it's a progressive accumulation.
I agree. And I've noticed that using it daily, it's not a 1 + 1 + 1. It's an exponential, that it's like any good habit. It seems to change things with some consistency.
Yeah. So I'd like to just share briefly
Yeah.
my experience. I mean, I feel pretty good in general, but I had some vulnerabilities mainly around energy. Like I needed a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
9, 10, sometimes even more to feel decent.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't get that, I didn't feel good. I'm like, this doesn't, I don't like this.
Right.
And something's not, and I've taken all the mitochondrial detox,
Mm-hmm.
cold
Mm-hmm.
showers, red light, sun, like
Yeah.
and it just didn't do it. So that was part of what led me. There's got to be more. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this bottom up, start at the bottom, like
Mm,
energize molecularly. If I
yeah.
use the Kloud regularly, my sleep requirement has dropped dramatically. Like I get by on 7 now and I feel fine.
Awesome.
And if we travel and I get lazy and I stop doing it, and then I'm getting up, I'm like, oh, slept 8 hours. I'm like, oh well,
You know
you
what
haven't
to
been
do.
using it. You got to get
You
back on
know
the
what
dark,
to
get
do.
back on. Yeah, I know what to do. And then it just
Mhm.
clears up. So it's like it's charging the batteries.
Now, we talked about safety before, but I hope it's okay. Let me put a little caveat in here. Our kids are all grown, don't have any grandbabies, but we have cats. And this is beneficial for our pets, right? Um,
Totally.
one of our cats, especially, he will lay on the mat, but he always lays on one of us when we are using the mat.
Yeah.
So,
Same thing with our dog.
hmm
And I've seen this multiple times with
hmm
dogs.
yes,
They like the owner is on it or we're on it. We
hmm
hit the start. They're like, you
they
come
start
over.
looking for it.
And they're
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, and they
yeah,
just lay down on it. And it's
they do.
amazing. They can tell instantly when it stops too,
hmm
because the mat stops by itself after 15
Yep.
minutes. And they'll be like, okay, off they go.
Time to
Yeah.
go. Time to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, Dr. Jeff, this has been amazing. I think we've gotten a good overview about why this technology is set apart, what it does for our cells. But if we could just kind of recap a little bit, maybe some takeaways that we want people to have from this, and especially, this is such an exciting topic. They're going to want to share this with their family and friends. So what are some key takeaways that you want for people to have?
Yeah, I think it's we, we're complex beings, and the challenges that we face now have just continued to go up, and I know you are too. I'm all about like living a full, vibrant, optimal life to the best of
Amen.
our ability.
Yes.
And and I'm not a buyer of stuff. I don't have any other devices, and I've seen a lot of them. Like this is what I use, and for the
hmm
reasons that I laid out. And to me, it's like if you want to be better, you got
hmm
to feel better.
hmm
You just got to, when you're
hmm
kind of dragging and achy and this, and it's hard to like live out your dreams and desires
Right.
and to the fullness of your capacity. So to me, it's like, bring it on. I won't go without it because
Yeah.
like my life is just better.
hmm
It just is. And to me, it's like, okay, I brush my teeth twice a day and
hmm
gonna eat some decent food and move my body, and I'm
hmm
gonna charge myself every day.
Absolutely.
So my
Right.
body has the ability to self-heal and thrive. So
hmm
that may sound a little nebulous, but it is also profound. And most people have some symptom expressions that they don't like,
hmm
as
hmm
discomfort or
hmm
cognitive or sleep or
Mood. Yeah.
energy levels, mood, all
hmm
that.
hmm
And maybe in another one we can talk about the study results, like this study they did in University of Vienna on the Kloud. The results are phenomenal on all those markers. And so quality of life.
hmm
This is a quality of life enhancement, and
Awesome.
it multiplies whatever else you're doing, makes it possible for you to
hmm
respond.
hmm So, one thing too that I'm thinking about as we're going through, we work mostly, or at least I do, I can say this, I work mostly with people, like you said, they're having symptom expression, they're not living their fullest and best life. But what can this offer for someone who, like you, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm doing, but I'm trying to get the max out of life. What can this do for a person who's not
Yeah,
sick?
yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's a couple things. I don't want to, because having worked with so many people who are doing
hmm
awesome and now they're
Yeah.
not doing awesome and they were doing good stuff.
hmm
I don't want to go there. So one is prevention.
Right.
I want my body to have the capacity to handle all this stuff and not go into slow decline.
hmm
And then is just optimization of my
hmm
my capacity,
hmm
mood, sleep, energy,
hmm
cognition. comfort levels. Recovery from workouts, like
Yes.
I'm able to work out without getting, I just, hobble around the next day and that kind of stuff. If
Hmm.
I do transform ahead of time,
Hmm.
sometimes do it after as well. Feel great. To me, it's like, particularly health conscious people in the biohacking space or whatever,
Hmm.
like doing this and super careful about what they
Hmm.
eat and these nutrients and that. This is a missing piece.
Hmm.
Every executive should have the mini slung over the back of their chair
Yes.
while they're working. That thing runs a couple times a day just to keep
Hmm.
that battery
Sharp.
charged.
Hmm.
Yeah, so a sharpening, heightened vitality, heightened
Hmm.
cognition and sleep. And
Hmm.
so it's not just for quote sick people, it's
No.
also for thriving in today's world.
No, absolutely. Yes, I find that I use it in my chair, in my desk chair, pretty
Mhm.
frequently. Okay, Dr. Jeff, thank you so much. This has been amazing. So we'll share some information in the comments about how people can learn more about the cloud and get their own. Um, like I said, any last takeaway,
Well,
something
I
I've
do want to
forgotten?
just share
Yeah.
this one other screen thing to go to your website.
Oh, yes. Yes, we were such big believers in this when we visited with Dr. Jeff. We got a set of the cloud mats and we are
Yeah, so you can
different.
see at the top, there's
Yep,
Dr. Deb right up there.
that's me.
And this is her site. So this is syntropics.us / Dr. Deb, DRDEB. And this is
Yes,
her site. And so the
yes.
shop tab is where you would
Let
get
me
it.
move our,
Uh, if
yep.
you go to Health Pros,
Hmm.
um, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm a human. I'm gonna
Yes,
hit this. Okay. Do you concur, don't you?
I do.
I'm
I
human.
do.
Okay.
I think Melanie's probably your wife, the best judge, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So if you and then this is like and then oh, look at this guy. Can you get
Hey, we know him.
it? So this is where you would go to Dr. Deb's website,
Yes, yes.
syntropics.us / DRDEB.
Yep, lots of great resources, research. Certainly, I'll be able to answer questions and things like
Yeah,
that. So
in the show notes too, Dr. Debbie, if you want, there's a info.syntropics.com. And then there's a 45-minute video I did there that sort of goes through, some of the stuff, video number 5, I think. So
okay,
that's another option just to get more information in addition to your website.
absolutely. So we'll share some of that in the comments. So we definitely are going to want to come back and we're going to talk about studies. What in later videos, what are some other topics that you want to
Yeah,
share
so
with us?
I'd like to go through the study results, and then I'd also like to talk about where the cloud fits in the whole biohacking scene.
Great. So, friends, we'll be recording those sessions too soon and sharing those with you. So make sure you check back on our channel to get more information. So, Dr. Jeff, thank you. This has been wonderful, and
Yeah, it's been
yeah,
fun.
we look forward to
Thanks.
sharing more here real soon. So.
Very